Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Monday, August 7th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card that we are starting our day off with today is our Queen of Cups, and she is in her upright. So, reflecting on the masculine energy that has been in its King of Cups over the last few days, we see that feminine is now reflecting this same energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. Feminine energy is working right now. We saw yesterday that feminine energy was going through some moments of feeling some difficulties or hurdles, specifically in the realms of their own feelings of stability at this time, as well as their feelings of being authentic or finding spaces and places to be authentic. This would make a lot of sense considering we saw that stability was becoming a bit of an issue here. But we did see for the feminine that there was a lot of active work happening in the realms of communication and planning yesterday to help navigate those spaces. We are seeing the results of that today with the feminine energy coming through at a point of emotional balance. This is going to feel like feminine energy weighing a lot of their emotionality at this time, observing it in moving with a state of intentionality as opposed to reactivity in terms of going forward from this point. While for masculine energy, what we're really identifying at this time is you are either working to manifest this energy towards you at this moment, or you are working in collaboration with a feminine energy that you feel is embodying these same qualities and characteristics. Now, let's continue to get some clarity on these cards right now. Second card coming through right now in our 5-card spread for today is 8 of Cups in its reversal. So this is the same blockage that we did identify yesterday that was coming through in the same position. For feminine energy right now, this is that moment that feminine is utilizing this Venus in retrograde period to really observe situations or circumstances that they feel are creating this sense of blockage with them. And for the feminine energy specifically, we are seeing that this is an emotional hurdle that is hard for them to navigate or to move away from at this time. But what we appreciate about this at this moment is that the feminine energy is taking that time, putting that care and consideration into those spaces or places that they are feeling this emotional blockage in order to figure out the best path forward from this time. While for masculine energy, what we're really identifying right now is this could be you navigating spaces or places right now with a feminine energy that you see is emotionally receptive to you at this moment to help overcome some tangible hurdles as it relates to your path moving forward at this moment. This would translate a lot to some of the work that we've been seeing on the masculine energy right now, specifically due to the fact that we did see from the masculine energy over the last few days, this has been a moment of trying to build a point of coming into a better sense of balance with the feminine, that the feminine energy has been putting up some walls or some blockages right now, specifically in the realms of their own feeling of vulnerability at this time. But what we're really seeing at this moment is this is either that masculine energy doing that work to try to repair the connection with the feminine energy at this moment, or this is new energy that is coming towards the masculine at this time that you are looking at right now to understand and assess what is preventing the feminine energy from feeling that they are able to come towards you in this space of vulnerability. There's a lot of potential emotional communication that is happening at this moment. Now, let's see if we can get our third card. Center card for today's spread today is... we have here coming through right now 2 of Cups energy, which is what we really like to see here for both masculine and feminine energy. A lot of concentration and care being paid to what feels like equal partnership at this moment. Feminine energy is effectively working right now in terms of assessing those blockages, helping themselves to navigate what feels like it is creating a space or place where you feel that you are in a point of balance, of harmony, of reciprocity, versus those spaces and places that are creating those limitations and setbacks for you. Feminine energy has been taking a lot of care and consideration right now, not moving very swiftly, but putting a lot of thought in terms of how they're going to practice this moving forward at this point. For feminine energy, this could be a lot of care and consideration right now. They're paying towards any of their partnerships in their life at present. Does not necessarily need to speak to romantic, but this is that moment that feminine is doing a lot of that internal work to help them go over those emotional hurdles that they may be feeling is blocking them from coming into equal, sustainable partnership at this time. While for masculine energy, what we're really identifying right now is you yourself are keeping a lot of focus, care, and concentration on what feels like it is creating an equal and sustainable partnership at this moment. This is giving some indication for the masculine that you are also working to address what potentially is feeling like a blockage. But that blockage is something that you are working right now to address with the feminine energy, specifically so the feminine energy can come from a place of emotional authenticity. This is some of that hurdle that we've been seeing the masculine has been experiencing from the feminine energy over the last few days. But what we really appreciate with the masculine energy that is doing this work right now is this is a lot of care and attention to really trying to get to the heart of the matter. Now, let's see if we can find the fourth card for today's spread. May I please have the fourth card coming through right now? Fourth card for today's spread is our Hangman in its reversal. This is that moment of coming into a state or place of easement. This is understanding and identifying any difficulties, any hurdles, any setbacks at this time. Building that deeper set of insight and understanding. Now, for half of the collective right now, this is going to be that movement right now in addressing these issues, addressing these hurdles, going into a state of repair, all for the sake of the ideal partnership moving forward. While again, for the other part of the collective right now, we have been seeing that this is a moment of really a lot of the work during this retrograde period has been trying to shed any karmic connections that you feel are not necessarily sustainable. They're not allowing for that progress moving forward. So for the masculine and feminine energy right now, a lot of care and attention is going into understanding these hurdles and blockages to understand and identify whether they can be avoided, worked through, achievable, allowing for pathways moving forward, or if they are creating too much of a blockage at this time, in which case there may need to be some separation point so that you can move forward from this point with a deeper sense of understanding and taking that valuable lesson at this time on terms of what you truly need in order to maintain and create a sustainable, long-lasting partnership. Now, fifth card that we are seeing right now for today's spread is we have coming through right now our Four of Pentacles. There is a moment right now that is a lot of care and concentration in terms of going forward, giving only towards these partnerships that you feel are reciprocal and balanced and even. There is this moment right now that is feeling like there's a care and degree in terms of being very cautious and careful as it relates to how you proceed at this time. We are seeing this for both masculine and feminine energy. There's a moment right now that is really allowing you a point in terms of what you want to fully give forth at this time versus what you feel like you need to potentially protect going forward. For masculine and feminine energy, a lot of the care and orientation that we're seeing right now as it relates to partnerships has to do with what needs to be adjusted and changed versus what you feel like you can truly give forth at this time. For feminine energy, this is going to be speaking a lot from the place of emotionality, being very emotionally honest and vulnerable at this moment as you weigh and balance your own emotional center to really ask yourself and identify what is feeling like a blockage at this time that can be adjusted or amended, and where you're seeing that work actively happening at this moment versus those spaces and places that you may feel that you need to pull your own energy back from this time. A lot of care and assessment is going into this at this moment for the feminine, but it's all based on the point of maintaining and holding an even emotional balance throughout. While for masculine right now, a lot of this care and concentration has to do with reciprocity. We see here that the masculine energy is working right now to come into union or working on an active present union with a feminine energy that you are recognizing is able to maintain this consistent emotional state of balance. This is either masculine energy doing that active work right now to try to repair any rifts or blockages in this connection, but this could also need to be or require a moment right now in terms of truly valuing and understanding what you feel you can fully give forth in those connections at this time versus those spaces or places that you may need to have this point of adjustment. But what we appreciate for the masculine energy that is doing this work right now, the main motivating factor that we see is the degree and the importance of preserving the connection itself. We see that preserving the connection itself is becoming the point of value that is allowing you this path going forward, and that is allowing you to have some of these changes and adjustments as you proceed forward from this point. While for the other part of the masculine collective at this time, This is that moment that we see that you may be moving away from circumstances and situations, as we've indicated, where you are witnessing or recognizing some blockage that is creating too much of a hurdle in terms of being able to maintain that consistent partnership. For that part of the collective right now, this is that point of understanding. It's recognizing what the blockage is and effectively not necessarily seeing any way or manner that you can go about adjusting it. This could be a moment that you're also potentially calling back your energy. Now, let's see if we can get some clarification on these cards at this moment. Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Cups in combination with our Eight of Cups in its reversal. Feminine energy moving from a space of emotional balance, recognizing and looking towards those spaces or places that they feel that they are seeing some point of blockage, but doing so from a very emotionally balanced place, having a lot of care and consideration in terms of how these blockages make you feel so that you can articulate them in the best way going forward. While for masculine energy right now, this is identifying or recognizing that where this blockage is towards a feminine energy. Again, taking this point right now of assessing whether this blockage is something that can be addressed in a tangible way, or if this is something that is feeling like there is something here where while you want to move towards a feminine energy, you are recognizing that this blockage or this hurdle is too great. But we do see for the masculine, this is creating some moment right now of uncertainty in terms of how to proceed towards this feminine energy. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Nine of Swords. This is indicating that there is a lot of heaviness or anxiety that is weighing around these present circumstances or situations. For the masculine energy right now, this could be feeling that point that is creating some fear of grief or anxiety for you at this time, because you are identifying or experiencing some moment right now where you are seeing some blockage towards the feminine energy. Well, while you may be identifying right now that there is a feminine energy that you would care to move towards at this time, you are also seeing that there is this point of limitation around this feminine energy at this moment, and it is creating a sense of disturbance within you. For the masculine energy that is working on amending this connection right now, this is that point of potentially understanding, moving into a better point of understanding and recognizing the grief, the doubt, the fear, the potential anxieties around a connection. And while you are seeing and experiencing some of these setbacks and hurdles, we see that you are either working right now with the support of a feminine energy that is being open and vulnerable to you so that you can effectively amend and correct this going forward. While for the other part of the masculine collective, this could be feeling like some of this Venus in retrograde energy really rising to the surface, because this could be a circumstance or situation where you do feel connectivity. You feel this point of an emotional connection towards a feminine energy, but you are recognizing something here that is impenetrable at this time. That there's something here that is not giving you an idea or understanding in terms of how to move towards it. And this is what's creating some of this doubt or anxiety and fear at this moment. While for feminine energy right now, this is a moment that you are putting a lot of care and consideration into some of the circumstances or situations that you are feeling are creating a moment of setback. You're experiencing some of these blockages. But what we appreciate with the feminine energy that's currently working on experiencing this at this time is you are recognizing how this energy makes you feel. You're recognizing the fact that you are dealing with a lot of grief as it relates to some of these emotional blockers, and feminine energy is doing a lot of work right now internally on their own emotional space to understand the grief or the source of some of that anxiety, of some of that pain, of some of that fear, so that they can effectively navigate through some of these setbacks or hurdles as they proceed forward from this point. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Eight of Cups in its reversal in combination with our Two of Cups. A lot of assessing right now for both feminine and masculine energy in terms of what feels like it is creating equal partnerships in your life at this moment. This doesn't necessarily need to revolve specifically around love relationships. This could be any partnership at this time. And this is understanding and recognizing some of the setbacks and hurdles so that you can navigate them in a more cognizant, present way as you proceed forward from this point. For some of you right now, this is work that you are doing in active partnership to identify these blockages and hurdles so that you can move forward with a greater sense of easement as you proceed forward from this point. While for the other part of the collective right now, this is a moment that you are potentially experiencing some of that push-pull, the experiences from the past potentially holding you back, even as you're trying to move forward right now with a better understanding of partnership. This is some of that learning lesson that we see that the retrograde is bringing at this time. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our 7 of Wands. There is this feeling right now of struggle. There is this emotional struggle that we see that you are currently going through for both masculine and feminine energy at this moment. There is something here that feels like it's creating a bit of a battle. But what we appreciate about this right now is for the masculine and feminine energy at this time, it is helping you understand and identify those spaces and places that you're really willing to put that time, effort, energy, and commitment into pushing against, allowing this to be that degree of understanding what you would like to preserve going forward versus what is just creating a blockage point. For masculine and feminine energy right now, as it relates to partnership, this is that moment that we're really recognizing and identifying to a certain degree in terms of understanding what is feeling like it is holding you back too much at this moment. These spaces and places where you're not necessarily seeing that collaborative energy going forward at this time versus those partnerships that you feel have your back, that you feel have that sense of conviction, that you feel have that understanding in terms of what you face and what you are going through at this time. And this is what is empowering the connections during this retrograde period to build stronger partnerships at this moment, because this is a unified effort that we are identifying that is happening in these circumstances and situations. While for the other part of the collective at this time, what we're really identifying is that moment of asking oneself if you see that unified effort to push forward at this time, or are these partnerships just effectively creating blockages because they make you feel like you have to move or push too hard on something in order for things to move forward in a productive fashion? A lot of care and consideration is going into this at this time. Now, continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our 2 of Cups in combination with our Hanged Man in its reversal. This is that moment that we are seeing a lot of care and consideration that is being paid to partnerships at this time. But again, to come into a state of easement, to address situations or circumstances that are creating too much difficulty in order to manage, all for the sake of building a easier path forward at this time, versus those spaces or places that you are identifying are creating too many blockages, creating too many hurdles. And this is that moment that we see that you are effectively freeing yourself at this moment from those circumstances or situations, having effectively gained the insight and understanding that you feel that you needed to from those experiences, that is allowing you to have that clearing up of the karmic cycles as you proceed forward from this point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Death card in its reversal. This is a day of understanding some of the hurdles, understanding some of the blockages, getting a deeper understanding of what is effectively blocking or preventing you in order to allow for these points of transformation to occur. For masculine and feminine energy right now, there's a lot of care and consideration that is being paid to what you feel is working versus what you feel is not working at this time. There is a collaborative effort that is happening right now to allow for those shifts, and it's all coming from a point of deeper understanding on what needs to effectively be transformed. But this is also a moment that could be feeling like a bit of a point of frustration, because there's a deeper understanding that is occurring here right now around where the blockages are, We're not necessarily seeing the movement through the blockages at this time, but just a deeper understanding of what they are so that things can move forward from a point of easement going forward. Again, for half of the collective, this is unified work that you're potentially doing right now to work on identifying these hurdles and blockages. While for the other part of the collective right now, what we really identify is occurring is this is that moment that you are not necessarily seeing that point of transformation occur. You're not necessarily seeing that shift happening. And that might be the moment that you may need to move away from these circumstances or situations that you feel are blocking you at this time. Now, continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Hangman in its reversal in combination with our Four of Pentacles. So, this is that point of deep understanding, working through and navigating circumstances and situations that are becoming difficult, that are becoming trying, allowing it to help you understand whether you have learned the valuable lessons at this time in order to take forward from these, but with a lot of care and consideration that we are seeing here. There is a lot of conservation of energy that is occurring during this moment in terms of having a deeper understanding right now in where you place value, what is important to you at this time. We've been seeing this a lot in the card, specifically with that Seven of Cups that we keep receiving. Getting that deeper understanding of your path and purpose at this time and working very much from a space where you are trying to navigate what is important to you, what you hold dear at this time versus those situations or circumstances that are creating too much pain, too many difficulties, too many hurdles for you at this moment. May I please have one card to clarify? Two cards coming out to clarify right now. We have here our Emperor in its reversal in combination with our Page of Pentacles. For the masculine energy right now, there is this moment that feels like there is some sense. We have been noticing with the masculine energy that there's been a lot of work that the masculine energy has been doing right now to maintain a degree of emotional balance through challenging circumstances. But this is that moment right now for the masculine energy that could be feeling to a certain degree or capacity that it is disempowering, that there's something here that feels like there's a point of disempowerment that's happening right now for the masculine energy. But we also see and appreciate that this point of disempowerment is also coming right now with a different presentation or with a moment right now of having a better assessment in terms of what you need to provide going forward. This is where we're really seeing for the masculine energy and the feminine energy that is in partnership at this moment, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. For the masculine energy right now, this is that deeper level of understanding at this time as it relates to what you have to effectively offer or what it is that you're offering at this moment. Because what we're really identifying at this time for the masculine energy is while you want to move away from circumstances or situations that are becoming too difficult, that are becoming too much of a hurdle, we are also seeing that you're doing it with a lot of care and capacity and degree in terms of what you are trying to put forth versus what you want to hold back at this time. For masculine energy, this is going to feel like a little bit of this flux period that we're seeing that is creating some of the blockage and hurdle. And for the masculine energy that's working right now with feminine energy, this is that moment of understanding, trying to come into emotional balance right now with the feminine energy so that you can understand and identify what it is that you need to give forth at this moment in order for the feminine energy to feel emotionally balanced going forward. Hence that degree and capacity of strengthening and fortifying the partnership during this retrograde cycle. While for the other part of the masculine energy right now, again, this is that learning moment. This is that moment that you are building this care and degree of orientation right now in terms of your own feeling of self-mastery, in your own feeling of empowerment versus what it is that you're putting forth at this time. This is that learning lesson that we are identifying and articulating upon. Because for some of the masculine energy right now, there could be feeling like a level or degree of setbacks and limitations in terms of what you can effectively give forth to something right now versus what is not necessarily in your power to do so at this moment. And what we're really identifying for the masculine is this is becoming more of an internal journey for the masculine at this time, because you're recognizing how something about this circumstance or situation is making you feel to a level or degree there is a point of disempowerment that is happening even as you try to navigate that experience. While for the feminine energy right now, this is simultaneously that moment that we see that you've been having that struggle point between the masculine energy at this time. We notice that feminine energy is moving with a lot of care and consideration and caution right now as it relates to their connectivity to masculine energy at this moment. Feminine energy is trying to identify the situations and circumstances that are causing any difficulties or setbacks or hurdles at this time around masculine energy, but all with that deeper understanding on what feels like it is equal and reciprocal versus what they feel is causing too much hurdle, too many adversities at this time. And feminine energy is moving with a state of a great deal of trying to protect their own sense of emotional balance. They are holding things very close to their chest at this time. Feminine energy is working very hard right now to protect their energy and move with a state of care and a degree of understanding. Feminine energy is also doing a lot of work right now to identify any past blockages and hurdles at this time that they have effectively experienced in partnership with masculine energy, but all for the sake of having a point of easement going forward. And this is where we see the feminine energy really weighing right now the masculine energy that is coming towards them to really identify what it is that is being offered, whether it feels like it is secure, whether it is building on the feminine energy's own sense of stability at this time, or is feminine energy experiencing that to a degree or capacity where they're potentially looking at it and identifying whether they feel that there's something here that does not feel balanced, that there does not feel that does not feel even, that does not feel reciprocal, but could potentially feel like it is not necessarily a partnership so much as it would be feeling like the energy is coming only from a space of care or degree in terms of wanting to have some level of higher point of control in the partnership itself. Feminine energy is really working right now on that state of balance, and they are putting a lot of assessment and care and degree into identifying what feels like it is creating that point of balance versus whether something feels like it is not showing that capacity or ability to be balanced as they proceed forward from this point. Now, let's see if we can get some clarification on these cards right now. Clarification coming through right now with our 9 of Swords. Some feelings of anxiety, some doubts, some fears rising up at this time. But we also see for both masculine and feminine energy that is experiencing this at this moment, that this is also that moment that you are really recognizing what you feel that care or degree in terms of really pushing forward on at this point. There is this feeling right now. We've got a lot of planets in retrograde, my friends. And what we're really seeing to a certain degree right now is with some of this anxiety, with some of this doubt, with some of this fear that you're currently actively experiencing at this moment, this is helping you get better articulation in terms of what it is that is valuable for you at this moment, what it is that you are willing to push back against, what it is that you are willing to fight for at this time. And for feminine energy right now, this could be moving and navigating some of these internal blockages and hurdles that you are actively experiencing at this time. Doing this, though, with a lot of care and degree and capacity, because we are seeing that while there may be some circumstances or situations that you feel are creating some setbacks for you at this time, we are also seeing that this is empowering you as you proceed forward from this point to navigate those hurdles, to navigate those blockages, either in union with masculine energy that is doing the same, or doing this for yourself at this moment in order to maintain and preserve that deeper understanding of what an equal partnership feels like to you at this moment. While for masculine energy, this is very much a similar feeling. Navigating potentially right now some moments or experiences that you yourself are having that are creating some feeling of disadvantage. They're creating some feeling of anxiety. They're creating some feeling of grief or fear. But we really see that this is also empowering you to a certain degree to help you focus in terms of what it is that you're truly going to move forward on at this time. For the masculine energy right now, this could have a lot to do with the feminine energy, because what we're really identifying is this is the masculine energy putting a lot of care and degree and practice right now into effectively coming into better partnership with emotionally balanced feminine energy. But there's something here that we're also identifying for the masculine right now that is helping to articulate and identify the feminine's own doubts and fears, all for the effect to help support, to give that point of verification, to recognize where the feminine energy is at this moment, all for that capacity or degree of showing some level of assistance or support as it relates to helping to navigate those situations in partnership that you are experiencing some of these hurdles and blockages. While for the other part of the masculine energy right now, this could be pushing back right now around your own feelings of degree. We see here that for some of the masculine energy right now, there is a moment that is feeling somewhat disempowering. We're really seeing that this is that moment that you are truly trying to ask yourself whether there is some degree or capacity or ability to push back in terms of some of the limitations and blockages at this moment. But for both masculine energy and both sides right now, this is some of that feeling that you are either working on internally with the support of the feminine, or simultaneously, it is creating this space right now that is creating this point of struggle, because there is some kind of blockage in terms of you being in connection with the feminine as it relates to their own emotional balance at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Eight of Cups in its reversal and our Two of Cups. So looking right now towards partnership, assessing what feels equal, assessing what feels balanced at this time, but also recognizing any hurdles, any blockages that need to be addressed and experienced to help amend and correct those partnerships going forward. For masculine and feminine energy, there is a lot of degree and capacity of attention right now being oriented towards this unified goal and purpose, either internally right now as you move forward from a point where you've had to learn that there is something here that feels like it is too much of a blockage, or simultaneously right now working in collaboration to identify and mediate and mend these blockages. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Six of Pentacles. Reciprocity is the key and the solution to any of these setbacks and any of these hurdles. What we really appreciate right now is that moment for the partnership energy, both masculine and feminine. There's a lot of care and capacity being paid right now to what is effectively blocking or limiting the partnerships at this moment. But this is all being done for a better sense of reciprocity going forward. A lot of care and capacity being paid right now to what feels like it is equal, what is creating an equal give and take at this moment. For masculine and feminine energy, there is a lot of apparent discussion that is potentially happening right now around specific situations or circumstances that are creating too much of a hurdle, creating too much of a blockage, versus what can be amended, what can feel equal as you proceed forward from this point. This is either going to be a moment that we see that this is a mending of partnerships, allowing these conversations and clarification to come through to help better the partnership going forward, or simultaneously, this is that moment that there needs to be some care and orientation, that you potentially are moving away from some partnership energy right now with a better degree of understanding in terms of what you need in order for something to feel equal as you proceed forward from this point. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Clarification coming through right now with our Six of Pentacles in combination with our Death card in its reversal. This is that identification point. Oh, apologies, I got confused here. Yes, this is our clarification point that we are effectively seeing right now between what feels like it is creating this sense of equality versus what is creating the blocker. What are we seeing right now that is creating this sense of equality at this time versus those spaces or places that are just creating too much of a hurdle? And this is a point that we're really identifying right now, which is really lovely, because we see that for both masculine and feminine energy at this time, this is that moment that is helping for a degree and capacity of betterment going forward. That this is that moment of really having to articulate in terms of what is stopping good partnership energy from coming forward from this point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Strength card, that there's something that is very important that is coming through right now as it relates to a point of reciprocity, to ask as well as coming through from a point of empowerment. There's a lot of energy that we're seeing here for both masculine and feminine energy right now that is requiring a certain level or degree of strength at this moment. This is that moment of, again, being able to lend support, being able to show to a certain capacity and degree that you have this ability to have this strength as you go forward from this point. For the partnership energy that is currently working on this at this time, this is that moment where you are identifying the blockages and hurdles, but you are also getting the confidence as it relates to how to go forward from this point around them. And this is coming from a reciprocal space. It is coming from a place that you are really seeing where these blockages are, but then you are also recognizing how to amend the blockage, and you are showing that confidence that it can in fact be corrected. While for the masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this time, what we are really identifying that is occurring at this time is this is a better understanding on what feels equal and valid to you at this point. We do recognize the fact that there is this point of transformation that you are also understanding right now. But what we appreciate for the masculine and feminine energy that is doing this work at this time, if you're not in partnership, is this is a lot of internal work that you are happening towards yourself at this moment, putting this care and degree and capacity in terms of what creates this sense of equality for you, what creates a partnership that feels equal and stable. And that is one that allows you to feel a level or degree of confidence and strength at this time. This is the confidence and strength that we see that was really kind of coming up right now, because what we're understanding right now for the internal work that you're currently doing is this is that moment of identifying that some of these blockages and hurdles that you've experienced in the past were situations or circumstances that created some point of doubt, of fear, of uncertainty in you right now. This is that point of struggle that we're seeing right now, because we see here that confidence is key at this moment. Maintaining a level of degree of confidence at this time is what is effectively needed to support the partnership energy. For the feminine, that is that moment of taking that point of emotional balance, finding that internal strength, both around your own emotionality, but also your confidence in terms of moving towards partnership at this time. But we're also seeing that this is a point of active struggle for the feminine, because feminine energy is working with a lot of care and capacity and protectiveness at this time, even as they navigate some of these experiences. While for masculine right now, this is a moment that is also requiring a certain degree of strength, because we see that for the masculine right now, there's something that is coming through right now about a need to be able to be vulnerable in partnership. That is so key and so important. The masculine energy is feeling some of this anxiety and fear at this time due to the fact that something about what they need to offer or what they are offering at this point puts them in a state or place of feeling vulnerable, feeling like you are losing some capacity of self-mastery. Why are we seeing that? Because it's requiring masculine energy to provide some of that emotional support to the feminine at this time. This is something that is very difficult for the masculine. We saw that's why there is so much work right now happening with the masculine energy trying to maintain a point of balance at this time. But masculine energy is simultaneously also recognizing this, doing this work right now, also trying to find your own confidence as you proceed forward from this point. Again, maintaining that point of confidence as you try to move towards the feminine energy that you see is in this space of emotional balance, or effectively moving away from this energy, trying to seek this energy and manifest it going forward. But either way, it is this exercise in finding your own strength, finding your own confidence through circumstances that are proving to have some difficulty or adversity at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Death card in its reversal, in combination with our Emperor in its reversal, in combination with our Page of Pentacles. For masculine energy right now, this is feeling or recognizing some feeling of setback. There's some point of transformation that has hit a point of a blockage point. There's a transformation process that you yourself are experiencing right now that feels like it's having some kind of active setback because it is challenging your own sense of empowerment at this moment. But what we also identify right now is masculine is also working to a certain degree in terms of maintaining a point of consistency in terms of what is being offered. The masculine energy right now is at a point that you're feeling some sort of blockage right now, because we do see that while you are trying to present an offer coming forward right now towards feminine, you are also feeling some of the anxiety of the feminine's own point of resistance or uncertainty at this time. And this is what is creating for the masculine some of this doubt, some of this fear coming into play. While for feminine energy right now, what we are really identifying and experiencing is for the feminine energy, you yourself are also going through a point where you are identifying blockages. There's a lot of work that feminine energy is doing right now in looking at past experiences, seeing those active points that feel like they are preventing you from going forward at this time. But feminine energy is putting a lot of care and consideration in terms of what feels like it is creating a blockage point for them versus what spaces and places feel that they are reciprocal. And this is how the feminine energy we're seeing right now is utilizing a lot of patience. They're having a point of really trying to master their own emotional patience at this time, taking a page from masculine's book that we've been seeing over the last few days, moving very conservatively, but with a lot of care and consideration towards what the masculine energy is offering them at this time. Whether they feel that it is coming from a place of authenticity, whether it is coming from a place of genuine offer, or are these spaces and places that are going to repeat some of the cycles that the feminine energy may have experienced in the past as it relates to masculine energy that did not come towards them in a space that felt equal, that did not come towards them in a space that felt balanced. This is that resistance point for the feminine right now that they are trying to navigate, that is creating some of the blockage. It is creating that hesitancy that we've been seeing in the feminine energy over the last few days as they put a lot of care and consideration in terms of what is offered and the genuineness of those offers going forward. While for masculine, this is effectively having to hold an offer forward and feeling that point of anxiety about how it is going to be received. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Three of Swords. This is creating some sense of pain. It is creating some sense of difficulty. Feminine energy is moving from a state right now of a lot of emotional caution. A feminine energy is working right now to protect their own sense of emotional balance at the time. They're being very protective over all of that energy that we see that the feminine energy has been working so hard on. You will remember over the last few days, feminine energy has been putting a lot of care and attention into what creates points of stability for them at this time, what feels like they are stable, supportive places versus the spaces and places that they don't identify create that. What we're seeing is yesterday, feminine energy was coming from a point of feeling some of that instability rising to the surface. What did we identify occurred with that with the feminine energy? Well, we're seeing here that the feminine energy was in a space where it pulled them out of their place of feeling open or honest or vulnerable at this time, because the feminine energy was moving from a state where they didn't feel stable. This is a lot of expression that we see right now for the feminine energy in experiencing that sense of loss and experiencing that point of setback. But what we're really identifying for the feminine energy right now is this is a lot of them unpacking their own emotionality, their own anxieties, their own fears, their own concerns as it relates to heartbreak at this moment. And this is that moment right now for the feminine that feels like it is creating a space or place that is happening as an active blockage. Because what we're really seeing for the feminine at this time is this is a moment that you are weighing your own degree or care of emotional balance at this time, and you are putting that towards the masculine energy that is coming to you. Really trying to assess whether you recognize or feel that that masculine energy is coming from a space of authenticity, or if it's coming from a space where it may repeat some of the same patterns from the past, trying to lend a degree or capacity of lack of balance, of lack of equality in the partnerships. And this is where feminine energy is having some of this struggle point, and feminine energy is recognizing their own internal emotional struggle at this time that is effectively creating some of this setback or hurdle at this point. While for masculine energy right now, this is effectively having to kind of stay in some point of limbo is what we're really seeing. We're seeing that the masculine energy right now is going through a moment where they're feeling like there is some point of limbo in terms of what they're effectively offering and what they are getting back from the feminine. Why? Because the feminine energy is holding very tightly right now to their sense of emotional balance. Masculine energy is effectively like holding their position at this time, but they're also feeling a lot of this care and degree and difficulty right now because it is very hard for them to stay in this moment, because it is creating a feeling right now for the masculine where they feel like they're losing some sense of control or they're losing some sense of self-mastery at this moment. It is challenging the masculine energy under difficult circumstances to be able to maintain this moment, even as it is creating some feeling of anxiety and doubt and fear. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now, the clarification that we need that I missed originally between our 9 of Swords in combination with our 7 of Wands in combination with our 6 of Pentacles. So this is that moment that we're really seeing that masculine and feminine moment right now are working through. It's feeling like a bit of a challenge. It's feeling like a bit of a hurdle. Masculine and feminine energy are both pushing back against their own emotionality at this time. Feminine energy right now is pushing back against their own sense of trying to maintain a degree or level of emotional balance right now in what is potentially feeling like challenging circumstances or situations, because feminine energy is really battling right now as it relates to what's coming towards them to really assess or analyze whether that thing is coming from a space of reciprocity, if it's going to create something that feels equal, or if it's going to create more anxiety, more doubts, more fear for the feminine. This is where the feminine energy is moving back and forth right now as it relates to the masculine energy that is coming towards them at this moment. This is that point of assessment that we keep seeing in the feminine that is creating or proving to be such a hurdle or challenge. While for the masculine energy right now, this is that moment that is challenging your own feeling of self-mastery at this moment, because this is that moment of you trying to push back around something. And this is that moment of really trying to identify if this is a space or place where you will also be seeing that reciprocity, or if it's creating more challenges, or if it's creating more setbacks. This is that moment of balance that is happening between both energies. To a certain degree, you guys are always asking me, is there an alignment of the energy so far? This is a very close alignment. Though masculine energy, there's something here about masculine energy coming forward with offers or considerations right now in terms of waiting for the feminine energy to react or respond to them at this time, that is creating more of that point of anxiety for the masculine energy. While for feminine right now, this is weighing or balancing your own emotionality right now to try to conserve your energy so that you move from a state of intentionality going forward, while also trying very hard to keep a point of emotional balance throughout that. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Lovers in its reversal. This is where we're really seeing the fact that there's a lot of care and consideration that is being paid to what feels like it is creating a point of balance at this time. What is creating that equal give and take versus those spaces or places that you may not necessarily feel that that is occurring. For both masculine and feminine energy, do you see all of this partnership energy that is on the table at this moment? Masculine and feminine energy at this moment is putting a lot of care and consideration in terms of what feels like it is reciprocal, what feels like it is supportive, versus those things that are creating points of challenge or difficulty that need to be overcome. For the masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership, in union at this time, this is that point of deeper assessment that we see and recognize that you are really doing at this moment to help overcome any of these hurdles and challenges. While for the other part of the collective right now, we are seeing that this is something where you may be falling on the opposite part of the spectrum. You may be identifying circumstances or situations that you are feeling that there is too much care or degree of difficulty. There's too many grief points that are coming through right now. But here is that point of really trying to balance and orient, which is why we appreciate this Venus in retrograde period, because it's really helping the energies to identify what feels like it is supportive and positive versus those spaces or places that are creating too much of a conflict point at this time. Now, continuing to get clarification right now between our Lovers card in its reversal in combination with our Strength card, situations or circumstances that are challenging your own feeling of partnership at this time. One of the challenges that we see right now that is occurring around the feminine and masculine energy is it's not necessarily the fact that there's some kind of weight or orientation that's being paid right now to partnerships, but there's something deeper that's happening right now around masculine and feminine's own doubts in terms of partnership. There's some anxieties that are coming into the place around like larger partnership energy in general. For masculine energy right now, there's something here about coming into a point of vulnerability in partnership that you are recognizing is creating such a hurdle and creating such a challenge. It is requiring a certain degree of strength that is required at this moment as you persevere through it. While for the feminine energy, what we're really identifying at this time is this is that care and degree that you are emotionally feeling. To a certain extent, feminine energy is feeling a lot of doubt and anxiety right now as it relates to partnership. Something here is shaking your own level or degree of feeling that point of support in partnership right now, your own emotional doubts and fears, but it is also requiring a degree or level of strength and confidence at this moment as you proceed forward on this path. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Devil card in its reversal. So, what are we seeing that is occurring right now? Feminine and masculine energy are both doing this work right now, but what we really appreciate and what we really see here is this is that moment that feminine energy and masculine energy are working very hard on your healing journey. There's a high degree right now of looking right now in spaces and places that feel like they aren't creating that supportive environment at this time. Feminine and masculine energy are working with a lot of care and consideration in terms of their own healing path at this time. But it's also creating a challenge point for masculine and feminine energy at this moment, because what are we seeing is happening at this time? We are seeing that masculine and feminine energy is working with such a degree of care and caution not to move into spaces and places that they feel are toxic, that they feel have created unhealthy coping mechanisms, that they feel they've created bad modalities of thought, that it is shaking masculine and feminine's own confidence in moving into partnership at this moment, because there's so much care and consideration that is being paid in terms of how to move forward. For both masculine and feminine energy right now, there is this degree and capacity of strength that is required right now through this moment of difficulty or adversity. Feminine energy is working right now on maintaining their own degree of emotional balance, trying to find those spaces and places that they feel create that level of equality at this time. There's hesitancy around the feminine right now, because feminine energy is moving from a point of so much caution during this Venus in retrograde cycle. It is requiring a lot of emotional strength on the part of the feminine. While for masculine energy, what we're really identifying at this time is this is a moment for the masculine energy, where your own feeling of disempowerment is coming forward, because we see here that there's something here about the vulnerability in terms of what you are offering at this time that is shaking you, because you see the feminine energy moving from a space of such care and degree. And this is also creating this moment right now that is shaking your own anxiety and fears in terms of what is going to be offered and what is going to be received at this time. For both energies, this is a point that is requiring a lot of strength, a lot of endurance as you go through some of the feelings of anxiety and setback at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Strength card in combination with our Three of Swords. This is experiencing a lot of feelings of active difficulty, active heartbreak at this moment. Masculine and feminine energy are utilizing their full power of strength during this time implementing this sense of trying to find courage through situations and circumstances that they're creating some degree of anxiety, of doubt, of fear, having to face some of the heartbreak from the past, but doing so with the state of confidence as you proceed forward from this point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Six of Cups in its reversal. This is that moment of real care and orientation that is being paid to those karmic energies that you feel have the capacity to heal. Create those stable, supportive environments for you at this moment versus those spaces or places where you are identifying or articulating you feel that there is not a point of healing that can effectively be reached at this time. For masculine and feminine energy right now, one of the things that is happening that is so difficult is there are some feelings right now of active healing that is potentially required around some of these karmic connections. It is requiring a certain level or degree of you maintaining a point of strength through them. There's also a point of understanding right now that this is kind of a shared or collective heartbreak that is occurring around some of these circumstances or situations. Having to assess and understand the positions of those around you. Feminine energy is employing a lot of empathy to a certain degree to look at the energies around them to try to have a full understanding and breadth and perspective in terms of where they are and how they are feeling. This could even be a moment right now for feminine energy, even assessing and understanding the difficulty or the hurdles of the karmic energy that's around them at this time. Feeling some of that pull, but also trying to feel and maintain a point of strength throughout it, to really identify and articulate whether these are places that can come forward and be as supportive as you yourself can be at this time, or are these energies that are showing some lack or degree of conviction at this moment. Feminine energy is utilizing patience right now to really determine what is truly for them at this time versus what is only effectively coming towards them to serve their own needs and to serve their own desires. Masculine, for your part right now, you are potentially even recognizing this around feminine energy. You are potentially recognizing this feminine energy coming from a point of uncertainty. You are having to effectively hold your position around some circumstances and situations at this time, but with a deeper understanding to a certain extent in terms of the difficulty, the pain, the loss, the fear, the anxiety that is effectively preventing the point of healing around these. Having to see and recognize it while also be able to maintain your own point of composure. But it does feel like a struggle point because it is making you feel less than supported at this time, potentially also shaking your own feeling of confidence in yourself at this moment. Final cards for today's spread between our devil energy in its reversal in combination with our Six of Cups in its reversal. This is that point of orientation and understanding that we are seeing that is creating such a challenge for both masculine and feminine energy at this time, because we see that masculine and feminine energy is going through a moment that feels like it is profound healing that is occurring. Masculine and feminine energy is moving right now with a lot of care and consideration into going into a healing path, but it is also simultaneously having them recognize the karmic energy that is around them that does not feel like it is effectively in the same space of healing. Masculine and feminine energy at this time are really paying a lot of care and consideration in terms of looking at these connections to identify whether they are reflecting that they are on the same healing path, whether they are reflecting that it is on this, they are on the same journey, or recognizing that there are energies here that need to effectively be moved away from to some capacity or some degree right now as you continue on your healing journey. May I please have one card to clarify? Final card for today's spread is decisions, judgment points, choices that must be made at this time, allowing oneself to make those determination factors to help you proceed forward on your path at this time. These are not easy choices that we're seeing for both masculine and feminine energy, but we are also seeing that there is the weight right now in the choices that you need to make at this moment that are potentially creating some of the blockage point. For masculine and feminine energy right now, this cycle is creating a point of allowing you to make a choice in terms of how you are going to proceed going forward. It is these choices that are effectively helping you right now on your healing path. Birth is identifying anything that you feel is not aligned to your healing. This is the challenge point, and this is the solution. Allowing oneself to come into a point of conviction, allowing oneself to make that choice that is going to feel most supportive for you as you proceed forward from this point. Bottom card for today's spread coming through right now with our 10 of Pentacles. There is a lot of care and consideration being paid right now to what feels like it is creating a stable, supportive environment for you at this time, versus those spaces and places that you do not feel are productive, that you do not feel are positive. Masculine and feminine energy are not just weighing themselves right now, the partnership energy that is around them during this time, but putting a lot of care and degree and assessment into what feels like it is cultivating a positive, productive space around them entirely. What we love about this work right now that we're seeing for both masculine and feminine energy, but what could be feeling like such a challenge, is masculine and feminine energy are not necessarily maintaining this around just the partnership energy that's around them at this time, but really looking for that point of unification in terms of the collective energy that is supporting them at this time. That there's something here about the masculine and feminine energy right now that is working on coming into alignment, not just with your own personal journey, but also with the energy that's around you right now. And it's this moment that we really see is aligning masculine and feminine right now on your healing paths. But it might not necessarily be feeling like it is that easy, because there could even be something right now that feels like while you are in a space or place right now where there's a lot of collective energy at this time, you are trying to make choices right now that you feel are not just beneficial for yourself at this moment or the partnership, but for all of the energy connected to you as well. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video with the option of a recording sent to you afterwards. And if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Also, please keep in mind that when you book a reading on my site, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never inbox you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your DMs and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way that you can book a reading with me on my website is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these readings. I hope you have an absolutely beautiful day, and we will do this again tomorrow.